So a lot of people take vitamin or mineral supplements, but do they actually need them or are they just wasting their money? Let's get into it. More than half of adults in the US take at least one dietary supplement. And that's partly because there's a $30 billion a year industry out there that has very effectively convinced us that our diet is insufficient, that we need a supplement to be healthy. Now, vitamins and minerals are part of the essential nutrients that our bodies use every day, but the reality is that our bodies are designed in such a way that for the vast majority of people watching this video, a balanced diet has all the vitamins and minerals that you need. And that's even more true in many Western countries because our food is fortified. What that means is that many foods have added vitamins and minerals to prevent these kinds of deficiencies. For example, we have iodine in our salt so we don't get thyroid disease from iodine deficiency. There's vitamin D in our milk to protect our bones. There's vitamin B1 and B3 in our refined flour, and there's folic acid in our grain products like pasta and bread, which helps to prevent birth defects. Studies also tell us that when you get your vitamins as part of your food source, as opposed to from supplements, they have a greater benefit. Even if those pills contain vitamins in the exact same chemical composition as the naturally occurring ones, consuming them as part of your food is probably better. And that's because food is complex. It's a combination of those vitamins and minerals along with macronutrients and water and phytochemicals, which are plant chemicals. And the effects of those vitamins and minerals are likely influenced by these other components. But part of the problem here is that supplement companies make a lot of different health claims. They'll tell you that their vitamins or minerals will get you through a cold, or they will reduce your stress, or they'll help you sleep better. I've heard they reverse aging. Of course, none of this is true. These are organic compounds that fulfill some basic metabolic functions in our bodies. And consuming them in higher doses will not somehow magically allow them to take on other functions. And unlike drugs, supplements have very little regulation, which is how these companies get away with these health claims. It's also why you can't always be certain that the ingredients on the packaging are entirely accurate and that they don't contain contaminants. So the idea is buyer beware, which means that you have to do your own research. And luckily, there have been a lot of studies looking at the health effects of supplements. And for the most part, studies have looked at one or more individual vitamin or mineral, or a multivitamin, which typically contains 10 or more of these vitamins or minerals, or both. Now, there have been individual studies showing some benefits from some of these supplements, but then there have also been lots of studies showing no benefits and some studies that show some harms. So the best way to figure this out is to actually put the results of all of these studies together in a single analysis. And that's what the US Preventative Services Task Force did last year. In fact, they specifically looked at supplements that claim to improve cardiovascular disease or cancer or to prolong life. And none of the supplements showed any benefits for any of those things. That included beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin B3, B6, B12, and minerals including calcium, folic acid, selenium, and multivitamins. Now, to be fair, most of these studies only lasted a few years, so it is possible that they just weren't long enough to see benefits. But on the other hand, some of these studies actually showed harms. For example, beta-carotene causes the skin to turn orange at higher doses. It also actually increases the overall risk of cardiovascular disease and death. And in people who already have a higher risk of lung cancer from things like smoking or asbestos exposure, beta-carotene actually further increases their chances of getting lung cancer. Studies also show a higher risk of bleeding in the brain from vitamin E supplementation and a higher risk of prostate cancer. One study showed a higher risk of hip fracture with vitamin B6 supplementation, and people taking high doses of vitamin D or vitamin C got more kidney stones. And that's just with usual supplementation. If you take way too much of some of these substances, you can actually get into toxic side effects. And doing that is hard, but if you're not careful with your supplements, this can happen. For example, too much zinc or magnesium or phosphorus or vitamin C will cause nausea and diarrhea. Too much selenium can cause hair loss and nerve damage. And too much vitamin A during pregnancy can cause birth defects. Too much iron supplementation can actually accumulate and damage the liver. Now, there are some people who need supplements. For example, women with heavy periods lose a lot of iron and they may need iron supplementation. In the wintertime, our skin isn't exposed to a lot of sun and we don't have a chance to make a lot of vitamin D. So people who mostly stay indoors might actually need vitamin D supplementation. Pregnant women or women who are breastfeeding often do need vitamins and minerals for the baby. People who are on a very strict diet, like a weight loss diet or a diet restricted due to food allergies, might also need some supplements. Someone who's, for example, a strict vegan might not get enough vitamin B12. And then there are medical conditions that reduce absorption of certain vitamins and minerals, like inflammatory bowel disease, pancreatic disease, and celiac disease. But if you're not in one of those situations, you probably don't need a supplement. And if you want to figure that out, the US Dietary Reference Intakes website is a great place to start. So you just enter your details, and it pops out your exact daily requirements for macronutrients, vitamins, and minerals. From there, you can start looking at your food labels and calculating your intake, and you will be surprised at how much of all of these things you're already getting. So, if you're taking a supplement, take a look at your diet and check if you actually need it. And if you're not sure, talk to your doctor. In fact, bring all of your supplements to your next appointment so your doctor knows exactly what you're taking. For most people, there's no major benefit and no major harm from these supplements except the cost. And if you are actually deficient in something, your best option is to adjust your diet accordingly. But if you do end up taking a supplement, make sure it contains no more than your daily recommended amount. For more on health and science, subscribe to the feed.